Hello and welcome to Disrupt Unite from us at ezeep by ThinPrint. We're incredibly excited to be here with you today. Also, welcome to our session Deploy and Enjoy How to Plan for Printing in IGEL Projects. Before we get into the planning, I want to introduce ThinPrint and ezeep real quick. ThinPrint is the parent company to ezeep. I think many of you may know us from the last 20 years in the end user computing space. If you don't know us quite as well, we hope to get to know you better soon. We have about 30,000 customers all across the globe in small installations, just as well as incredibly large installations. We do all our work around printing with a number of very reputable partners. IGEL is one of our oldest and most valued partners, and we're excited to have recently joined their brand new IGEL Ready program as one of the first members. ezeep is a little bit newer in the ThinPrint space. We've done a lot of work around cloud printing for a long time, and about 5 years ago decided to make things a little bit more formal and create our own cloud printing product line. That is the ezeep name that you'll see throughout this presentation. I'll tell you a little bit more about what ezeep can do here in a couple of slides. But for now, just let it be said that ezeep has been incredibly successful, especially in the co-working space, and it was one of the launch partners for Microsoft's Windows Virtual Desktop at the end of 2019. But for the moment, let's just get into planning for printing in IGEL projects for a second. I'm sure many of you are more interested in the how and what it looks like and all of those things, but I would like to make sure that we are kind of on the same page why we're even talking about printing. Printing is probably the primary interface between our physical and our digital worlds, and in many parts of the company or a company, it remains incredibly important. When users need to print, they are really not looking for good printing, they're looking for printing. Everything else is not good printing. That means we have to cover printing in different types of setups. That may be the traditional office, that might be a retail store, that might be a clinic or hospital. But as we've gone through 2020, we've also had to incorporate a lot of home offices. And from a printing perspective, with the ezeep solutions, we like to think of home offices, more like very, very small branch offices, where you would like the same functionality and manageability that you would have in a regular branch office. We also have backend printing, where different server-side applications might be delivering reports or data that is not user-generated whenever the algorithm said that it is time to do so. We need to incorporate those. We increasingly need to also incorporate zero trust scenarios where the user's device is not allowed to communicate with the local environment either through the network or through the local ports. Printers can be on your company network. Printers can also not be on your company network, and they need to be supported just as well. And something that you learn more a little bit further down the road in this presentations, printers can be attached to an IGEL OS device and very seamlessly be integrated into your Windows Virtual Desktop environment. And just to make things a little bit more fun, we should never forget about specialty printers like label printers, for example. They have a ton of very, very useful applications, but might be a little bit more tricky to support for some. We're happy to say that we have a ton of experience with that, and we're really good at supporting those specialty printers. With that, I want to talk a little bit more about ezeep Blue. ezeep Blue is the latest and most up-to-date iteration of the ezeep platform, and we call it the future of printing. And for the purpose of this conversation, it is really the only plan that you need, because it is a fully, or the only fully cloud-based strategy for printing. Everything that might be a little off-putting about printing, that might seem a little complex about printing, everything that an organization typically doesn't like to deal with, but has to deal with because we have to provide printing for our users, is something that ezeep can take care of for you. That means you just have to actually have your printers and you have to have your users and their applications. Everything else in between is done by ezeep. That is not only much more cost effective than a typical print environment, but is also a lot easier to use, a lot easier to administer, and it supports a broader range of devices from a virtual desktop to a mobile device and everything in between. From an architectural point of view, the whole thing is a lot more simple than the previous slide might have made it seem. On the bottom left and bottom right are the only two things that you need to provide. On the bottom left, we have your users with their applications, however you provide those to your users. And we have the ezeep print app installed there. Think of the ezeep print app kind of like our printer driver, the only printer driver that you need. It will still support all of the features that your printers have to offer without requiring you to actually install native drivers on any of your devices or any of your desktops. On the right side, we have the printers in your organizations, wherever they are, whether that's on your network, off your network. You have the ezeep connector or the ezeep hub that can connect those printers to your ezeep account in the ezeep cloud. And you see from the direction of the arrows in this image that everything is based on outbound connections. That means there's really no complicated network and firewall and security configuration that you need to do. Everything comes together in the ezeep cloud, and that gets us one step closer to the motto of the session, that's deploy and enjoy. I had mentioned the ezeep hub a couple times throughout this presentation. Not sure we'll have time to look at it in our live demo later on, but I wanted to make you aware of it because it's a really great way to get rid of the print servers in your environment. It is an incredibly cost-effective and an incredibly powerful way to do that. And you can use the ezeep hub for branch offices, for large offices, just as well as for any kind of work from home or hybrid work scenario. The ezeep hub simply has to be plugged into the local network where the printers are that you want to make available to your users, and then it'll establish an outbound connection to your ezeep cloud account, make those printers available for you to assign to users. And you can see from the numbers on this slide that a small solid state micro appliance is certainly much more cost effective than the print servers that you used to, that you have to maintain, that you have to configure, that you have to secure, and all of those things. But since we're at Disrupt Unite, I want to focus on what's new in our partnership with IGEL, and we're incredibly proud to say that with the release of IGEL OS 11.05.100, ezeep is fully integrated into IGEL OS, and it is the only way to print locally from your Windows virtual desktop that you're accessing with IGEL OS. Microsoft, for whatever reason, has not provided the typical base level print support that's usually included with Windows Virtual Desktop when you're connecting from a Linux-based device, and IGEL OS is a Linux-based operating system, which is part of why it is so secure and so easy to manage. And that means that we have to provide print support via ezeep so that you can support the various scenarios that we've talked about before. ezeep is, and you'll see that in the live demo in a couple of minutes, ezeep is integrated into the OS on the operating system level. That means there's no additional installations, integrations for you to make it simply something you can enable either individually on a device or via the IGEL UMS, the central management that they provide. And It supports every device that runs this version of IGEL OS, including the UD Pocket, as an incredibly useful and incredibly easy way to support home office type scenarios. It supports printers that are connected via the local network as much as printers that are connected via the USB ports on the IGEL OS device or any other local ports. It has, you'll see, minimal configuration that it requires, and it's really the perfect solution if you're accessing Windows Virtual Desktop from your offices, from your branch offices, from home, or even for users in a hybrid work scenario where they go back and forth between their home office and a more traditional office scenario. To kind of look at this from an architectural point of view again, you'll remember the setup from a few slides before. On the left side, we have the Windows Virtual Desktop applications where your users are working, or their desktops and applications, I should say. In the middle, we have the ezeep cloud that pulls together all the different elements of your print environment. And then on the right side, we have the IGEL built devices like the UD Pocket or some of the other IGEL devices that have the ezeep integration built in with the release of 11.05.100, or you could have any other x86 device that you can run IGEL OS on and take advantage of the same ezeep support that is built in here. So let's take a quick look at what this actually looks like in real life. I'm sure many of you are far more interested in the actual how and what and where than just the theoretical aspects of everything. I am in the IGEL setup dialog of a virtual IGEL OS device. So not doing this through the IGEL UMS at this point. I think it shows a little bit easier for the purpose of this demonstration. And I have a Windows Virtual Desktop session defined on the IGEL device that I called IGEL Disrupt. It's the one that you see up here in the top left corner. And within the configuration options for this, you see the ezeep thin print support. That is a very simple checkbox that you simply enable when you want to use ezeep. Since we have had a close integration with IGEL for a really long time, we're taking advantage of the already built-in thin print dialog where you can set up your printers. And I've set up a printer that I've labeled IGEL Disrupt for the purpose of this demo. And beyond that, there's really nothing else that is left to do other than to log into my Windows Virtual Desktop via the IGEL device. I have my login credentials saved to make this demo as easy as possible. And you will see that the ezeep logo pops up a couple of times and it'll log you or your user into the ezeep account and your WVD account at the same time. A couple different environments to pick from. We'll use this one for this demo. And I left this open so we can take a look at how everything is coming together right from the get-go. You see your devices and printers dialog that will be populated here in a second with the printers. One is the IGEL Disrupt printer that you just saw on the local IGEL OS device, and then another printer that we're populating from an ezeep hub into this environment. I also have a Word document open just to show you how easy all of this is for the user. I have my file print dialog even in this demo environment, and you can see I can simply pick the printers here that the users are supposed to have or the way that they expect this to work. I'm using the IGEL Disrupt printer. I don't really have a ton of special settings for this amazing document, so I'll just hit print. And that is really everything that I need to do on this device. When I'm done with my work, I simply log out and return to my virtual IGEL OS device. From an administrator's perspective, this is all incredibly easy. All you need to do for the administration of ezeep is web-based, especially in the context of Windows Virtual Desktop. Everything is tied into the Azure Active Directory, so you don't have to have a separate user management. If you remember the diagrams, excuse me, the diagrams that we saw in the presentation before, you have the various flavors of the ezeep connector that you can download to connect your different network printers if you're not doing this through IGEL OS. We have the ezeep print app available for the different application scenarios and different operating systems, all the way down to the mobile operating systems and Chrome OS, all available through the centralized page here. We do have an independent user and group management if you didn't want to tie everything into Azure Active Directory, but that's really not a requirement. So the next thing that you can look at from an administrative perspective, it's already the second to last step, it's that easy, is the local printer support. Local printers are the ones that are somehow connected via the user's device. That doesn't mean they have to be plugged in via the USB port. They can be attached via the local network, but they're not being addressed from the back end of ezeep directly. A couple options here. The way that it's currently configured, local printer support is available to all of the users. I can disable it for all of the users, or I can pull an available group from, in this case, my Azure Active Directory, and let's say only accounting is allowed to print locally through their devices. The only other thing that we have left is the network printer section. Network printers are those that are attached via a ezeep hub or a traditional print server, for example. And you can see I have a couple here in this account. I'll look at this one for the ezeep hub because I think that's probably most interesting. You can forgot to attach a driver to this one, for example. You can select the driver so that we use the native driver for this particular printer to make sure we produce a high quality, true to format print job for this device. And then, it's too quick. The other thing you can do is decide which user group you want to assign this printer to. I guess we do have a couple of minutes, so I just want to make you aware of a few more things. You can filter this entire section by the different connectors that are bringing printers into the environment, so that you can see if you had one per location, for example. You could see exactly what is available in that particular location. And then we have a self-service portal that you can enable for your users. So rather than dictating what printers they have through the user groups, the users could pick their own printers based on their needs. I will also take a moment to show you the ezeep hub since we have a couple minutes. This is an incredibly simple device. You see the printer that we saw in the session beforehand. It typically will find printers that are on the local network and added them to the list of printers, and with that to your ezeep cloud account automatically. But if you had a stubborn printer that you couldn't identify for some reason, you can also simply add that in here manually. Let's say this. And then it would be available in your ezeep admin portal here within a couple seconds. Take a quick look. I still have this filtered, and as you can see, this printer that we just added to the ezeep hub is available in my environment within seconds. I can select a driver for it. Let's say this one's from brother, and I can assign it to a group of users. And just like that, I have made a change to my print environment and made my users happy because they can print what they need to print. The whole connection of the ezeep hub to your ezeep account is done through this Cloud Connect option. You log in with your ezeep account admin credentials either through Azure Active Directory or through email and password, and that's really all there is to do. I am always incredibly excited about ezeep hub and would like to talk about that some more, but the focus here is really the integration into IGEL, and I'm rapidly running out of time, so I'll return to my presentation here and just leave you with a couple of things to remember that you should take home and keep in mind as you're experimenting with IGEL OS, as you're updating your IGEL OS, so that you can really take into account and consider what ezeep and ezeep cloud printing could do for your particular environment. Whether that's connecting your home office users that you have to support, whether that's supporting a store or affiliated clinics or doctor's offices, whether that's supplying printing to an entire school or a traditional office, wherever, whenever, whatever you need to print, ezeep will make sure that that will happen for you. And we'll do that because we do this all through a very, very sophisticated, very secure, very powerful cloud printing platform. We've been very experienced in the end user computing space for a really long time. ezeep is built on a lot of that experience. I'd like to thank the engineers on the IGEL and the ezeep side for the work they've done to integrate ezeep into the latest release of IGEL OS. I'm excited to see what all we can do there together in the future to make sure that you have the easy and convenient and reliable printing that your users are looking for in the easiest and most effective way you can deploy this to your users as an organization, so that ultimately you will end up with the goal and the motto of this presentation, that is to deploy and enjoy, make printing available when it is in the least time consuming and least costly way that is possible. Thank you for spending some time with us on printing today. We think it's an important topic. We think it's something that our users are always looking for. If you have questions, feel free to post those in the chat window or in the Q&A in this session, or reach out to me afterwards, and I'll be happy to have a conversation with you and with your organization on what we can do for your printing needs. Again, thank you very much. It's exciting to be here with you at Disrupt Unite. Looking forward to the rest of this event. Thank you again.